Welcome to the wonderful world of Corgi. In this video, we shall be looking at everything that the Corgi company made that was TV or film orientated, between the years of 1965, when the Saints Volvo was first introduced, until the original company's demise in 1983. The range of character merchandise that Corgi produced during this time was as vast as it was amazing, and the company could be congratulated on keeping millions of young customers happy for hours on end, playing with the superbly engineered models with their realistic operating features, marvellous colours and accessories. It would be impossible for this film to show everything that has been rumoured to have been made, as some items are very rare. The compiler's intention was to produce a film with an informative narration, together with visual descriptions of the models, their boxes, and most importantly, the accessories that were packaged with them. There is a small amount of extremely rare variations of some of the models shown, and whilst the compilers know of certain obscurities, they feel that the inclusion of these and other pre-production or one-off prototypes would be unfair to the fanatical collector, whet a number of appetites beyond reasonable bounds, and could even drive certain collectors to the point of insanity. To those normal collectors amongst you, we hope the following film and narration will be both enjoyable and informative. This model, number 261, really put Corgi on the map and set the trend for character models. Introduced late in 1965, this model took the toy world by storm, and demand outstripped supply many times over. Retailers could have sold many more than the 750,000 models that were sold before Christmas that year. Records show that nearly 4 million gold Aston Martins were sold up to 1968, which would suggest that it is an easy model to find. It is not. Mint and box models are scarce, especially those with all their packaging and accessories. There are two versions of the basic casting and two types of box and inner display base. This, allied to different shades of gold paint, means that we will never know just how many variations are possible. The model is based on Corgi's Aston Martin 218 and is really a DB4 rear end with a DB5 front end. Purists will put up their hands in horror. The model has the following operating features. 1. Concealed front machine guns with flip-out overriders. 2. Operating bulletproof rear screen. 3. And an ejector seat. The packaging included a paper envelope concealed in the display base, which contained secret instructions, a peel-off 007 lapel badge, and spare baddie figure. The model can suffer from corrosion of the plated parts, softening of the spring suspension, and marking of the roof when operating the ejector feature. Here you can see the two different castings. The main difference is around the engine vents on the front wings and the rear tail lights. Between these two, you can see a colour variation as well. Here you see the box variations. The outer main box can have the red James Bond writing outlined in black, and the Aston Martin DB5 writing highlighted in black shading. The diorama base had the same outlining, as well as a prominent black arrow indicating the concealed secret instructions. Early models were packaged with a Corgi catalogue in leaflet form, depicting other Corgi models that satisfied James Bond Aston Martin owners might like to purchase. Gift set 45, all winners. In 1966, gift set 45 was released, which included the gold James Bond Aston Martin, along with 4 other international GT cars. The set also contained 16 plastic bollards and some adhesive racing numbers. The set was produced for export only, and very few were sold. The window box should come with a cardboard protector that the retailer was supposed to remove for visual display. Model 261 was superseded early in 1968 by a slightly larger model listed as number 270. The model still had the 3 main operating features of the original gold car, but had 2 more exciting secret actions. The additional features were revolving number plates and extending tyre slashers, which could be pulled out from the rear wheels. The accessories were packed in an envelope marked Secret Instructions and contained a new type of lapel badge and instruction leaflet, and a separate sheet of stick-on number plates for the revolving number plate feature. A spare bandit was again included. The model went through 3 very different box designs. The original box type contained the model sitting on a coloured platform with a vacuum-formed bubble over the top. A colourful and descriptive backdrop completed the packaging. This version was only produced for a short while and was changed to the window-type packaging that same year. The original version is therefore the hardest to find, especially as the whole package does not resist rough handling. The see-through window box type survived until 1973, but seems to be nearly as scarce as the first release. This box has been seen with a card-up stand at the back of the box. Box Type 3 was introduced in 1973 and reflected the Corgi company's new colours and standard packaging. It is still a scarce model to find in mint and complete condition. All these models included the operating features described and came with secret instructions and accessories. Known variations over the years include gold or silver-plated bumpers and metal or plastic spoked rear wheels. Various shades of silver also exist, although the differences are very slight. Common faults are soft or non-operating suspension, damaged and ill-fitting roofs due to too many operations of the superbly miniaturized ejector seat feature. In 1977 came the Corgi company's cost-cutting exercises, and the revolving number plates and tyre slashing features were quietly dropped, and chrome whiz wheels substituted for the realistic spoke type of the original. There were no secret instructions or accessories apart from one spare bandit, which was held in a special hole in the end of the inner box sleeve. This last issue is the most common and possibly the least desirable. Over 1 million of these larger models were produced until 1978, when an even larger 1 in 36 scale model was produced under the catalogue number of 271. It was virtually an enlarged version of number 270, and indeed the graphics on the back and front of the box show the 1 in 43rd scale model and not the newly tooled car. The first issue had a small variation in that the early boxes had an additional tag on the front declaring the scale at 1 in 36. Later boxes did not have this feature. Model variations seem to be limited to wheel types and slightly different shades of metallic paint. The wheels could be either solid or 4-spoke chrome wheels with black plastic tyres moulded with the wheel. Here we see another box variation and the special value pack containing an additional Corgi Junior model, catalogued as number 1361. This set is scarce. This 1 in 36 scale model is still in production with very little modification, and over 1 million of these models have been produced. Introduced in 1967 and withdrawn 2 years later, nearly 800,000 of this beautifully accurate model would be produced. Taken from the James Bond film You Only Live Twice, this model's main feature was its 4 firing rockets concealed in the boot. The boot catch was operated by a side lever and the rockets released by pressing on either side of the rear suspension to release 2 rockets at a time, or pressing the model in the center to fire all 4 rockets. Problems did occur if the rockets were fired with the boot in the close position. Concealed in the display base was an envelope marked Secret Instructions and contained a sprue of 8 missiles. The instructions and a lapel badge the same as model 270 James Bond Aston Martin. The packaging included a white cardboard lining and a cardboard ring to protect the windscreen and aerial from box crush, and kept the easily lost figure of James and his more secure driver, Miss Wakabayashi, in place. The most common fault with this model is the operation of the boot mechanism and its failure to shut or open properly. And indeed, the only known casting variation is to this mechanism. the spring to the boot lid being repositioned early in its production life. The red plastic aerial is also fragile, and the pennant top, which reads 007, is very often missing. The Toyota is a scarce and desirable model, and very hard to find in complete and perfect condition. It was not until the release of the James Bond film Diamonds Are Forever that Corgi released two new models within a short space of time during 1972. The James Bond Mustang catalogue number 391 was a last-minute release, and the model had no special features apart from opening doors and a stuck-on printed label to the front of the box, proclaiming the model's allegiance to the film. It appears that Corgi were about to release a standard Mach 1 Mustang in green, as depicted on the box, when the film had the identical car in it and the model was quickly produced in different colours and the new label applied. Known variations of this model are limited to wheels only, and the two types are shown here. Problems with this model are box rubs to the wheel arches and paint chipping around the leading edge of the opening doors due to too tight a gap around them. The Mustang was deleted in the same year of release, but not before 200,000 of them had been made. It is one of the more difficult models to find, no doubt due to the amount of James Bond collectors around the world. Shortly after the release of the Mustang, Corgi released the next James Bond model. The Buggy, catalogue number 811, was a reasonably accurate model of the vehicle stolen by Mr. Bond during the Diamonds Are Forever film, and featured universally jointed arms with spring-loaded claws, automatic rotating scanner, trigger-operated hatch with rising seat, and a figure of James seated at the controls. The model had a paper label on the front of the superstructure with the American flag and a large figure 1 on it. There are no known variations, and apart from obvious damage and broken parts, there is very little to go wrong with this model. It's the box that seems to suffer more than most from the ravages of time and poor handling. This model was discontinued in 1973, after nearly 200,000 had been produced. It is certainly a very rare item, perhaps reflecting its play value when sold as a toy. Very few have survived in mint and box condition. In 1977, Corgi released their latest James Bond model. It was catalogue number 269, the Lotus Esprit, as depicted in the film The Spy Who Loved Me. The film car converts into an underwater vehicle, and it was in this form that it was modelled. A black button, doubling as the bonnet-mounted air vent, released the ingenious side fins and rear rudders, and they retracted just as easily by pushing them back in from the rear. The model came with a sprue of 10 rockets, which fitted 4 at a time into holes in the rear screen area. The periscope was the operating button that released the rockets. A set of paper instructions was included. There is a variation on the rocket retaining clips, the updated version having a smaller periscope firing button. Box variations are limited to the bottom of the box depicting full instructions instead of them being printed on a separate sheet of paper. Here we can see catalogue number 1362, the special value set, containing an additional Corgi Junior model of the same car. This set is scarce. The James Bond Lotus Esprit was released at the same time as the film, and 10 gold-plated models on special bases were given to celebrities at the film's premiere. A special red sleeve that fitted over the standard box was also produced, and models thus clothed were given to VIPs at a Corgi press lunch following the release of the film. Withdrawn in 1983, more than 1.5 million models of the Lotus were produced, and mint and box models are not difficult to find. 1978 saw the release of Stromberg's Jet Ranger helicopter from the same film as the Lotus Esprit, The Spy Who Loved Me. The model was listed as catalogue number 926 and came with 10 rockets on a sprue which fitted into 2 holes under the cabin area and were fired by using a button either side of the model. There are no known model or box variations, and the model was deleted in 1980 after selling nearly 250,000 items. It is not a difficult model to find. The James Bond Space Shuttle, catalogue number 649, was released in 1979, at the same time as the film Moonraker was shown to the press. It was a very good likeness of NASA's Shuttle and contained a model satellite within its twin-doored cargo hold. The satellite had 2 plated solar panels, and the early release of this model had a strap fitted between the shuttle and its satellite. This nylon item was apparently deleted in an economy drive. There are no known variations apart from the models with the strap fitted, and sales of nearly 500,000 before withdrawal in 1982 means the model is relatively easy to find. After the release of the Space Shuttle, the Drax helicopter, catalogue number 930, was released almost straight away. Also from the film Moonraker, the helicopter again came with 10 rockets on a sprue, fired from buttons either side of the rocket holes beneath the passenger cabin. The model was exactly the same as Stromberg's helicopter, but only sold approximately 150,000 items and was withdrawn in 1980. There are no known model or box variations, and the model is relatively easy to find. In 1980, Corgi decided to release a James Bond gift set, catalogue number 22, consisting of models 271, James Bond, Aston Martin, 269, Lotus Esprit, 649, Space Shuttle. No additional accessories were produced for inclusion in this set, and sales of only 50,000 means the set is relatively scarce and difficult to find in mint and box condition. There are no known variations in models or box, and all the instructions for operating the models are printed on the reverse side of the box. In 1981, Corgi released its final James Bond model, catalogue number 272, a copy of the Citroën 2CV as seen in the film For Your Eyes Only. The model featured an opening bonnet, presumably to recreate the flapping bonnet of the car seen in the film sequences. The only variation appears to be that of box type, the smaller flip-top box being the most common. Low sales of 150,000 for a James Bond item does not reflect the ease with which this model is available.